What is the creepiest glitch in the Matrix you've experienced? Not sure if anyone will believe me or not, but fuck it, here goes. When I was in high school, my friend Phil killed himself. I never really knew the specifics. All I know is that he shot himself at one of the local parks. Fast forward 6 years or so, and I'm asleep in bed next to my ex-wife. I'm having a fairly normal dream. I was at a store doing something or another. I can't really remember the specifics of the beginning of the dream. What I do remember is running into Phil in the store. When I saw him, everything got super weird. He actually looked like Phil, not like in most dreams, where people will be certain people, but not look like them. He actually looked like Phil. He looked at me and smiled and said, "Hey man." At the moment the dream got crystal clear. I asked him if it was really him, and he said it was. He told me we were gonna hang out for a bit, and after that the dream got super lucid. He showed me how to make stuff, and generally we just fucked around doing dream things. Suddenly I realized that my dream was coming to an end. I turned to him and asked him if I was about to wake up. He said yes, and said he had fun coming to hang out with me for a bit. I don't know why, but I asked, "So why'd you do it, man? Why'd you kill yourself?" The way he answered chilled me to my core. Not necessarily what he said, just how he said it. He replied, "My girlfriend cheated on me, man." He said it like it was a question he'd answered before. Like when someone asks you what your first job was, you've responded with the exact same sentence so many times that it just falls off of your tongue effortless. Except I had known his girlfriend and they were the kind of couple that everyone admired. I said, Sophie cheated on you?" His eyes lit up, like he realized he was talking to someone that actually knew him in life. He said, "Yeah man, Sophie cheated on me. We gave each other a hug and he wished me well." I woke up and felt super strange. It was somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning. I closed my eyes and thought, "Phil, if that was really you, I need you to give me a sign." No sooner than when that thought finished, my phone started ringing. It came across as an unknown number and only rang twice. I knew I wasn't dreaming anymore because my ex-wife woke up and sleepily asked me who was trying to call me so late. To this day, when I think about that story, I get chills. I took a hard news/soft news journalism class in college where one of the assignments was to write an obituary for one of my grandparents. The professor told us to write it on a deceased grandparent, but if all of your grandparents were still alive we had to choose one. In my case, all of my grandparents were alive. I procrastinated the assignment until the night before it was due because it seemed like a dumb assignment. Scramming for an easy grandparent to write about, I gave my mom a call and asked her for some basic biographical information about my maternal grandfather, who was still alive. As we were talking about my grandpa's career, my mom couldn't recall the name of one of the companies he worked at. She lectured me about waiting until the last minute to write the assignment because it was late, 10:30 p.m. my grandpa's time. However, she said she would give him a call to see if he was still awake and be able to answer that question once my assignment was due the following morning. When my mom called my grandpa, my grandma answered the phone in a panic. My grandma frantically explained that the paramedics had just arrived and were performing CPR on my grandpa because he had stopped breathing and passed out. My mom was able to stay on the phone with my grandma until they took my grandpa to the hospital, where he was declared dead. In the time my mom and I had been talking on the phone about my grandpa's obituary, he was dying out of the blue at that. He had been otherwise healthy considering his age. We ended up using the obituary I wrote for that writing assignment as his actual obituary. Still freaks me out when I think about the timing. Wasn't all that weird, I guess, but still. When I was a kid there was this house right before the entrance to my subdivision that was in this super deep valley. I remember calling it the house in the hole and thinking about how much it must have sucked when it rained and how great of a sledding hill the sides would make. Then one day we were passing it and there was no valley, it was at the same level as the road. I asked my mom what happened to the hole and she had no idea what I was talking about. To this day, I no longer live there. I always check when I drive past. Not especially creepy, but it did used to unnerve me when I was young. When I was little I used to have a Thomas the Tank Engine book with fold out parts and flaps. There was this one part which was like a shed and you could lift a flap to see inside it. Inside was all the usual gardening / shed paraphernalia, but there was also a black cat sat in there. Here's the glitch though, I swear the cat wasn't always there. I used to love that book, but every time I read it, I would get to that page, and guess whether the cat would be there or not. Not a clue what that was all about really, but it creeped a young me out. This one is more silly than creepy, but once when I went with my grandmother to her friend's house, I was on the porch by myself with the grandmother's friend's cat, and the cat looked me right in the eyes and said the word meow. It didn't sound like a cat meowing at all. It sounded very convincingly like a human carefully enunciating the word meow, 2 syllables, in their most thoroughly unconvincing cat voice, like someone intentionally doing a very poor impression of a cat, as a joke. But it was perfectly in time with the movement of the cat's mouth and there was no one else around, so it had to have been the cat saying it. I was walking my dog. On his leash there is a little plastic attachment that holds his poop bags. I dropped the leash onto the ground. I heard the plastic hit the ground, but it turns out it ended up back in my hand. Imagine dropping something, hearing and seeing it drop, then somehow it's in your hand, all under a couple seconds. I had an Android phone which had a Google Cards feature option that could notify you like 15 minutes to home if you were out. I thought this feature was annoying and useless, so I kept the feature off. After several months of no cards notifications, one night I'm at home and a card pops up saying 35 minutes to home, pinning me at a random intersection on the other side of town. Let's call it First Street. And story. I think that's weird. I'm not even way over there. I don't even know where that is. I've never been to that area. I go to my card setting to turn it back off, but it's already turned off. That's weird. Next night, exact same thing happens. 35 minutes to home from First Street. And story. What the? Still definitely not over there. Check cards feature, and the notifications are still turned off, so no idea why I'm getting a notification. Few days later, a friend and I are out running errands, and he misses his intended exit, so he takes the next one. Once on the streets, I ask, where are we? I've never been over here. Suddenly a car to our right tries to turn left and crashes right into us. Messed up the wheel to be unable to turn, so he pulled forward to the curb to call a tow truck. We had our kids in the car, so I call my sister to pick us all up. When my sister asks me for the location, I look up at the street signs. First Street. And story. I was 11 or 12, early 70s. Dad came home one Friday and announced we were going to Kings Island, a fairly new amusement park, tomorrow. I begged him to let me invite my friend Chris to come along. He said okay, as long as Chris could pay his own way. Great. Off to the phone I went. Pick it up. No dial tone. Hello. Oh my god. Is that you? Chris. I was just calling you. What's up? I was calling to ask if you'd like to come to Kings Island tomorrow, but you have to pay your own way. No phone ever rang. We both called each other at the same time to ask the exact same thing. I'm a security guard at a distribution warehouse. Sometimes I have to work graveyard shift. During this time the only people on the premises is me and a rare truck driver bringing in a late load. Our guard shack is concrete, with sliding glass doors on the sides, no locks, and big windows in front and back. Sometimes when I'm the only person on the premises, I'll see a reflection of someone walking past the shack. Every inch of this shack, and the yard, is covered by security cameras. No one has shown up on the footage when I see these reflections. When I was about 15 I was eating some cereal and accidentally dropped my spoon into the kitchen floor. I watched the spoon fall. As it hit the floor, it just vanished into thin air. I was shocked. I thought surely my eyes were playing tricks on me. It must have just bounced away and gone out of sight or something. I spent 30 minutes searching the kitchen for that spoon. I was honestly kind of freaked out. I tried to think of every possible place it could have gone. There weren't many places it could have ended up. I never found it. This is late and pretty stupid, but why not? I was once showering, and after about 10 minutes in the shower I hear something ping and hit the floor. I looked down and saw a penny. I was pretty perplexed as you can imagine, but figured whatever, I'll keep it, as I imagined it could be good luck. I kept the penny in my wallet for a few years in a zipped side pouch. I never really told anyone, because it was kind of pointless to talk a random penny I was superstitious about. So a few years later, while at a music festival, a girl in our tent woke up to a penny in her butt crack. We all laughed it off as having a wild night. However, I remembered the penny I had, and when I looked in the zipped pouch I was shocked to find it was gone. I told my friends and they didn't believe me. I think they threw that penny away too. Had a dream of some kid that I had never seen before dancing at a busy party. He was wearing a blue shirt, black pants, had Bieber hair, and there was a purple strobe light on the wall behind him. Wake up, think to myself, what an odd dream, and carry on with my life. Several years later I was at my cousin's wedding reception, chillin' and hanging out with a different cousin. Music comes on, and we start jumping up and down, and then I realized that I was reliving the dream. Same clothes, same hair, same purple lighting in the background. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.